structures and continue until we have reached all the structures of the ANC. These will be followed by sectoral and community meetings across the country. It is our hope that the members of the ANC and society at large will use this meeting to provide the leadership with frank and honest feedback. Listening to and rectifying any instances of manipulation in the candidate selection process will follow the series of meetings in the regions. That is quite important because as we go to the regions, others send individual messages that I'm supposed to be a councillor, why I'm not a councillor. We want to urge all those who feel like that to go to those meetings, because there you talk in the presence of other branches of the ANC. You also get some wisdom on your colleagues from other branches on how to deal with such manipulation. In the next weeks, councillors of the ANC in all municipalities of the ANC will also be signing performance and accountable agreements with the ANC. These agreements are in fulfillment of the ANC manifesto commitment to improving accessibility, accountability, and responsiveness of our councillors. The NWC meeting further considered the following matters. One, on the allegation of 80 million being given to the ANC from PRASA. The ANC has noted and categorically rejected the allegation, claiming that the organization received a bribe of 80 million on a contract to supply locomotives awarded to Swifambo Rail Leasing by PRASA. We place it on record that the ANC has not received any money from PRASA or any of those contracts, or the said company. We distance the ANC from any correspondence that would have transpired by the protagonists in this matter. We further denounce peddling of the name of the organization by individuals in any improper deals they may have been involved in. Companies and individuals that are duped into believing that they are dealing with bona fide representatives of the ANC must report these matters to the ANC to halt the indiscriminate practice that bring the organization to disrepute. The point we're making there is that whoever took the 80 million rand, it never arrived here. Okay, it never arrived here. So the ANC has received no 80 million rand. The corruption, perceived or real, must be challenged and exposed unapologetically wherever it rears its head. Accordingly, the ANC calls for the investigation by law enforcement agencies into this bribe allegation. Action must and will be taken where any conduct by the organization or its members is inconsistent with the rules of law and our own disciplinary code. Our view is that there is this allegation in the public domain. We are distancing the ANC from it. If there was any 80 million that left PRASA, it must be investigated, and therefore whoever got that money should be persecuted. That's our view. Unless we do that, corruption will be committed in the name of the organization. And our view is that it is this loosely use of the name of the organization for individual benefits that drags the ANC through the mud. Hawks and the Minister of Finance, the ANC echoes the sentiments expressed by both President and Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa on the undesirability of clusters of government seemingly being at war with themselves. The continued speculation and public spectacle that has resulted from the Hawks investigation into the so-called spy unit at the South African Reserve Revenue Services is hurting the economy and could be dealt better. The ANC reaffirms its unreserved confidence in the Minister of Finance, Comrade Pravin Gordhan, and the work of the National Treasury. We do, however, caution them against taking a public posture that seems to isolate themselves from the rest of government and position them as victims to be protected by society from themselves. Society can't protect government from itself. Our position remains unchanged. All parties to the dispute are encouraged to cooperate in the investigation. This matter serves no one by being debated in the public domain. All structures of the ANC, including the MKMVA, should not enter the fray as they contribute to the cacophony of noise which promotes general confusion and the perception of a politically motivated persecution. Government has the responsibility to safeguard the economy by dealing with the matter away from the public glare. So where we are, leagues, MKMVA has no business to enter that fray. And therefore we call upon them to stop entering it. It is causing confusion to society. ESCOM and National Treasury. It has been unfortunate that ESCOM and National Treasury have also taken their disagreements to the public domain on matters relating to procurement practices of the state-owned enterprise. The ANC calls on the urgent meeting between Ministries of Public Enterprise, Treasury, and Ministry of Energy to decisively deal with the matter in a manner that promotes public confidence. The point we're making is that it may look as just disagreement between ministers, but when it is in the public domain, it dents the confidence of society on the state and its institutions to be able to deal with problems that they must be dealing with. Pretoria High School for girls and the need for national review of discriminatory practices at school. The ANC commends the steps that have been taken by democratic government to transform education. The South African Schools Act represented the fulfillment of the aspiration of our people to have a say in running their schools and for a democratic order to create a climate conducive for learning in all our schools. We should, however, not rest on laurels, as recent events have proven the very real possibility of the reversal of the democratic gains. You know, one of the things that we were beginning to pick up is that with the results of the local government, which are portrayed as the ANC have lost and therefore DA has won, but facts don't say that. It's not based on any facts. There is emboldenment of racists to think that everything that is transformation must be reversed. They are bold enough now that they're taking back their country and therefore they can do as they wish. I don't know how can you be able to understand the cultures and even the hairstyles of people that you do not understand. You know, under apartheid, it's easy. The determination of the race was proven by pulling a pen through your hair. We can't go back to that. If a young child wants to have braids, let that child have the braids. It's something that is done today. And therefore, our view is that we must commend Comrade Panyaza, the MEC for Education in Gauteng, for the action that was speedy against this racist action. Our view is to encourage more students to come to the fore to expose racism wherever it presents itself. ANC branches working with school governing bodies must be vigilant against any racist practices in schools and take up campaigns to review, if necessary, codes of conduct. Organizational matter. ANC noted the call by the ANC Youth League for an early elective conference to be convened. Structures of the ANC are urged to deal with the calls for a conference as provided for in the Constitution of the ANC. The Constitution of the ANC is very clear what should be done. It is not about press conferences, you call for this or that, but that debate is not suppressed, it can be opened in the structure of the ANC. And the other thing is that if you call that conference, if the intention is to fight it out and actually smash each other, it's not worth it. If it works towards unifying the ANC and providing leadership to society, it is welcome. But there are constitutional provisions on how you call a conference that is not normally at the time of a national conference. You don't call it through press conferences and counter press conferences. You see, for those who want to know, you go to Rule 29 of the Constitution of the ANC. Then you will know exactly how it is convened, who is responsible for calling it, when can it be called. It's not press conferences. Thank you very much. Let me explain the difference between everybody in the ANC speaking on this and that and what we are doing. We are reporting on the decisions of the National Working Committee of the ANC. That is a structure. And those decisions of the National Working Committee override everything said by every individual member and leader of the ANC. So, what we are saying here is coming out of a discussion from a structure. And its purpose is to say, people have said many things and different views, and we're saying, come back, there is an organization, we must all read from the page developed by the organization. How legitimate is the investigation by hawks? I don't want to be a hawk. I don't know what they do. All that I'm interested in, I would be worried if the hawks are investigating me, and that investigation is capturing headlines of newspapers. I would be worried about that. But I don't say hawks should never investigate me. Hawks must investigate me, but it should not be a subject for newspaper headlines. That is the point we're making. Legitimate or not legitimate is not the issue. All we're cautioning our comrades when they get into the fray and take sides, what you do, you are legitimizing a conspiracy narrative that no, this is not a real investigation, it's political. Once we begin to howl at it all over, we legitimize this narrative and it becomes the narrative. And our view is that hawks must do their work as they know it. For example, if I have a summons, I will go to court. If any investigating officer comes to me, I will respond to anything they ask me. But the high notice, like a media alert that go to the head office of the hawks, it's not natural. Not natural. All we're saying is that please deal with this matter in a decent way, engage each other, and we don't say Pravin Gordhan must be untouchable. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that handling an issue, if you want to investigate Pravin Gordhan, it is unnatural to send 27 questions and come back further down the line, send other set of questions, say come to the head office. Because if you do that, you are not only doing your work, you are also having an element of humiliating this minister. And our view is all the agencies of state must do their work, but in a way that is decent. The personal responsibility by the Deputy President, the Deputy President elaborated on what we call collective responsibility and personal. Somebody asked me the same question, what does that mean? It means within a collective there is individuals. And that's why when we answered your question last time, those were here and said, what does that mean? I said, it means consciously, individually, we must actually take up the responsibility. If we are called to step aside, we must be able to do so. If your conscience say you can't take it any longer, you step aside, let's do that. And that is the individual responsibility within the collective. Should Pravin present himself to the Hawks? I've dealt with that. early conference versus consultative conference, I don't want to pretend to be a spokesperson of the party. They have people who speak for them. And again, if the party has a proposal to make, we are not going to take it from media briefings. We'll get it directly from the party to the ANC. So if you make a proposal in the media briefing, we read it as news. Once the SACP comes to the ANC and make a proposal, we look at it as a proposal. That's how it works. Even if it's the Youth League, if the Jabulo calls for an early conference in the newspapers, we read it as news. When they meet us, as they will do it on Monday next week, then it will be a proposal from that point. I don't know if you get it. Yes. So when you call press conferences, it's news. We read it. When you write a letter, you come to the ANC, then it's a proposal. It is processed through the structures. Public specs reflect a country that is directionless. I'm not sure if that is a fact, except that it reflects a number of things. The first one, it reflects ill discipline. It reflects ill discipline, that the direction of the country is embodied in the policies. If we have the National Development Plan, we have the 9-point plan, that is the direction of the country as adopted by structures of the organization and government. But when I go up and say many other things that actually project the country as directionless, it is more reflecting on me as being ill-disciplined. It doesn't take away the fact that the country has policy and direction that is determined for itself. Now, ill-discipline, unfortunately, impacts on the execution. That's what it does. Because if we're ill-disciplined, we're going to ignore the direction provided and howl all over and say many things. That's why it is not helpful for us to be in the public domain. Resolution of the dispute in ESCOM, who will convene the meeting of these three ministers and tell them, listen, we have a resolution on the integrated energy mix as the ANC. Nobody must just go there and say, no, I'm not confident on the renewable energies. I want nuclear now. It can't work that way. Again, it's ill-discipline. The ANC resolved to have a mix and a desire to move more to cleaner energy sources. And somebody wake up one day and announce, I will leave the renewable energies, I will go to nuclear. That is ill-discipline at its best, and it actually impacts negatively on the confidence on the economy of the country. And I hope people will begin to appreciate this thing of talking out of turn. What implications are there for people who are talking